Good morning, traders. Welcome to my daily webinar. This webinar will be out on YouTube as the weekly outlook. It's just one webinar we do in our room for the day. We do this every day, and we do it 3, 4, 5 times a day as an update. So since this video will be in YouTube, maybe you've never seen me before. My name is Andrew Mangal. You can check it out and all the info you need with me. You can actually check my YouTube videos if you're seeing this for the first time, because the method we use is called wave analysis. It's based on a simple theory that nothing goes in straight line, everything goes in waves, right? Whether you're going up or whether you're coming down, everything goes in waves. The difference with the market, the way we look at it, is what we look for is what happens when we're making what they call the corrective phase. These are the impulsive phase. These are the corrective phase of that wave, right? This would be a bigger corrective phase with shorter impulses in it and bigger correction in it, shorter impulses and bigger correction. And then you're going to continue with the bigger phase to the upside with small corrections and big impulses. So what we do is we study what happens in here so that we can get this piece. So if this is a bigger one like this is, you would find that I would definitely, as one comment on my YouTube video says, you keep saying it will go up, it will go down, it will go up, it will go down, and you can't be wrong. Well, to that person, I think you should stop trading. Not because you make the comment, but because your ability to analyze things are very, very limited. And if that is your conclusion from watching my video, then I think you're going to have a very difficult time analyzing complex things. And these waves are complex. So you should probably stay away from trading. You need simplicity in your life. Go to a job, find a job where you just go in the morning, you work and you come back, they tell you what to do. That's simple. This is complex. So let me go and explain what I mean by complexity of patterns. I'll start from the weekly so you have a very quick view. This is the only one I'll do all the way from the start. So this is a complex pattern. It's a weekly pattern. Now, if you would say, can you see this pattern coming? Well, go back and look at my video at this point. Or at this point, or at this point, when we thought they would break the top and then come back. And the reason we always think they would break the top, because that is a specific pattern that is the most popular of them. It's called a regular flat, right? There are many. This one is what we call a contracting flat. So our assumption is that if this is the contracting flat, the most difficult of them to forecast for many reasons. I'm not going to go into all the reasons here. I'm not educating you in patterns. I'm just showing you my analysis. Is we think this could come all the way back to the top, break this top, and then only then we will know whether it's going to continue to go up or whether it's going to come back here, because there are many things you would look for in the pattern when that happens. So you don't have to worry much about that. You have to worry about getting this piece, right? So how would that piece look? Look back at the back here. See this piece here? See how fast it looked to you? It's the same thing. It's looking very fast. But in every bit of these little pieces you see here, there was a complex corrective structure. There was a complex corrective structure in every bit of them. Right now, we're in one of those here. So here's the question. How would you know when you're going to turn back, when you're going to have a bigger one like this, or where you're going to have smaller ones like that? And that is what we do here. That is where we show you that this could be a bigger pattern, or this could be a small flag or a small flat, and then you're going to continue to go up. Right? When you were here and you saw this small one, you would have to decide, is this going to go up or is it going to come back here? And that is where wave analysis gives you the edge in understanding patterns. So, and that is why sometimes, yes, we see patterns where way before they happen. If you look at my forecast before all of this happened, when we had this move here and we were starting to do this here, and we realized this is the correction, we knew we were going to come back here. Now you may say, how the hell do you know that? Well, because the chart has done that before. And let me show you where. It has done that before right here. See this? And I can tell you something now that you may want to doubt, but you will eventually see it, is that when we complete this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the likelihood is this could drop all the way to the bottom here. That looks impossible and irrational to you right now, because you wonder what the hell is going to happen for this to happen, right? Well, it's because the structure is already telling me that. It's already informing us that that possibility exists. Go back and look at my pound chart. When it was at the top and we showed you that it's going to come back to break the low, and everybody thought that was crazy. Well, it's not. The same thing here. Because you're getting so many of these corrections inside of a sharper move here, chances when you break that up, you're going to drop. But that is just for analysis purpose. Let's go get the trade we are looking for today. I just want to introduce people to wave analysis in this one, right? Those who have never seen it before. So let's go back to the 4 hour, and we're in this move going up. At any point in time, this move could make deeper corrections. Let me just stress that. At any point in time, you're going to have a very deep correction like this. So at what point would we expect that deep correction? Well, I think it could happen here. This could become a flat, make one more high, and then it drops. So I just tell you the possibilities it could drop or the possibilities it could go up, right? At least that's what the traders think I said. But let me explain to you how we look at it now. So we're here and we're looking for a trade of the day. Knowing that there are two possibilities. If you know that there are two possibilities that could happen, what you need to know now is, what do I need to see to know which one of those possibilities is going to happen? And that is what we're looking for in here. This will tell us whether we're going to drop or whether we're going to go back up. And there are many things we need to look for, not one thing. And as it's developing, it could change. At some point in time, you could think, well, it's going to drop because you started to see the features that is telling you you're getting a flag or a consolidation on the lower basis to drop. And then it dropped a little, turns back, give you a flag and start to go. Congratulations. That's a complete pattern for upside. So how would you know that? It's easy. It's easy when you know it, right? It's like, if I'm trying to learn something, I don't know, Chinese language, or if I tried to speak in Chinese, I probably would never be able to say a word unless I learned it. And I know that because I can speak a foreign language. And the only way I could have done it is by learning it. And now it's pretty easy to me. It's like second nature to me. Literally, it's easy for me to speak the language. It's the same thing here. When you learn this stuff, you understand it, you start to figure out easily. It becomes very simple. So what we're looking for, we had this little one, we expected to break this low, and then we expected to go back up. That was the first thought. You wouldn't just buy into it. You would wait for a flag, and then you could buy. When you start to see that this is not doing that sharpness, but it's starting to do this, then you realize that only now you have that information to say, well, we're making a bigger correction here. And a big correction here would do two things. It would either drop from here as it is, or it would break this top and then drop. If it drops from here, it will go back up. It will make a regular flat, depending on whether you break this low or not, and then it's going to drop again. All right? So let's go with the two options. First option is they just come here and then you drop like this. We will always expect them to break this low. They don't always have to break the low. That's just two different patterns. But they will get a move down, and then we're going to expect a move up back because we will expect this to happen. And then we'll have what you call a flat, after which you should come back here. And depending on how this flat looks, we could go right back up there, or we could continue to drop after you broke the low. So you would say, how would you know? Let's say you sold from here. How would you know whether you should stay in the trade or not? Well, we have rules and regulations, we have strategies, and we have all that thing we use in the group, and we have 5-6 daily updates per day to tell us whether to stay in that trade or not. There are many, many things. And we have what you call trade management, which tells you what you should do with this trade at any stage of time, especially if you think that there are two possibilities in it, right? This is just a flat. This becomes one bigger flat. Or this becomes a big flat in the middle. It is a flat with an impulse, a small flag, and then continue to go. See? So when you know all of that, it becomes very simple. So what we're expecting here today is that this would continue to go up, maybe make a few more of this. It doesn't matter. We're not trading this. That's not the point. We'll try to catch the sell to the downside. Every time it breaks the top, we'll look for a sell setup. There's a specific setup you will get that is going to give you that drop. And then if it doesn't go as far as we expect it to go, which means if it drops short here to go back up, that trade will be a break-even trade based on our strategy. If it drops the way we expect it to drop, and if it goes beyond where we expect, which means it breaks this low, that becomes a very good trade, which you would take profit out of. If we break this low, we're going to come back here and drop. In any case, all those moves are very likely to repeat themselves, every single one of them. I can show you many other patterns why they do it. I don't have any reason, I don't know why, but that's how they repeat themselves when orders are being filled, right? So what we are in here is a correction, and this correction will not finish so fast because we're like halfway in it, and halfway in it already took how much? Start from here and go to this level. We are already in it for 11 days. So this correction might stay here within this range. If you want to draw a range, it's within this range here. We might still be here for about 11 days more before we have an either up move or we have a down move. And depending on how this pattern plays out in the range, we will decide which one of those moves we're getting. See, it's that simple. So what I can do for you is today's Monday, we have 5 days, and then we have 2 more next week. It should break out maybe there by the end of next week, right? So I would probably post updates for you to show you which direction we think it's going to go and why we think it's going to go. Let's move on. For the trade of the day, if you're a very aggressive trader, there is a short buy. I would not go with that. I'll be careful of the buy. We'll rather wait for the sell. So we're waiting for a sell setup when it breaks this top. Silver. Yep. We expect it to drop. We expect it to come all the way here. So let's say you were in that trade. Let's say you took the trade. Could you have gotten out of the trade? Well, absolutely, depending on how you're managing your trade. If you took the trade, you would have taken the trade under here where we have that line. It drops this much, start to pull back. You realize this trade is not going to go. You can get out for break even, right? This is not a small move. This is 50% of where you expect it to go. Almost, right? At least 30%. So if it starts to pull back anywhere, you can take a small loss, or if you manage, you got it for break even. But let's say you didn't do either of that, right? If you're keeping your stop above the impulse, which is this big move here, you will allow this to come back here and you'll still get out of the trade for either a small loss or positive. Do I think it's going to drop more? I do think they're going to drop and break this low. This is just probably a deeper pullback. You have a lot of deep pullback in this deep pullback, this deep pullback. And you can see that they're pulling back quite a lot, but it's still dropping towards this. Now that it is broken the low, every time they break the low and they make an impulse to the upside, you wait for a flag and then you decide whether you have a buy or not. If this becomes a correction at the top here, a small flag, that would be a buy. And the buy would probably be just for one impulse, at least for one impulse, which means one impulse up and then the possibilities they can drop. If this comes deeper in here, we're just making a bigger flat here, and we're going to drop, break the low, and then go back up. Because the very likely now, because we're so low into this, the likelihood is we will break that low and then go back up. And eventually it will break the low. It's just making a lot of pullback. If you look at it on the 4 hour, it's pretty sharp. So deep pullback at any time here. If this starts a deeper pullback now, something like this, and then drop, that should be okay, which means we're going to get buy setups. A deep pullback, look at this move, and then you get the deep pullback, and then you get the final one. So we can get a deep pullback here, a final one there. What would be the buy setup? Well, if it makes a flag at the top, which means if we get a flag here, instead of going deeper, I want the flag to be right at the top here. Sideways at the top here, and then we will buy. Like this bottom here, sell, right? This one, the sell could have been higher, but it doesn't matter. This was enough to get out for break even. Because if not, it wasn't, I think that was in the news event, so you probably get out for break even there. It's looking at this. Now if this comes deeper here to this level, all it will do is pull back here. That could be a short-term buy, and then you go for the sell. Just like this was the sell, just like this one here. See, they pull back, they drop, they give you a sell setup, you sell. So if we get a sell setup in here, which is a flag, we will look for the sell setup there. Simple. Once we break this low, we'll start to look for the upside. That is on the bigger picture, because in the bigger picture, breaking that low will complete a bigger pattern, right? Gold still in the sideways. Nothing much happened. It's still going sideways. Let's see which direction. We're expecting gold to go mostly up. So I wouldn't be surprised if silver starts making a deeper correction, because we're expecting gold to eventually go up back to the top there. Now, these 2 hours were here for a long time, and they're still there because this consolidation starts to happen and never go up. We expected to go up very early. It didn't. Starts consolidating. It dropped. It's consolidating. It dropped. I think this could be a consolidation for a drop. I believe we could drop one more here. There's a good chance this could drop one more and then go. Right? It could drop a few more drops like that and then go. It could even break this low. We're not expecting an expanding flat, which is if it breaks a low. But let's see. Can you buy in this one to the upside? I don't see any buy setup right now. It doesn't have a buy setup. There's something forming there, but that's not a flag. At least not as yet. So can we sell if we get a sell setup? What would be the sell setup? Well, it has to drop a little here, make a flag here, and then you sell. Breaks the low, take profit. It's not going to go very far down. Down, they're not going very far. You can see that already. They can stay within this range for a while and then break out. Right? That is a pattern also. That's a known pattern. Euro. So we're in a big sideways move. I don't know where we were last Monday. Last Monday was what day? We probably made this piece and we're in this consolidation and we're still in the consolidation. So we were playing every piece of this, including this piece down, that piece up, this piece down, this piece up. You can see them, this one down, this down, this down. This up becomes a bigger flat. It drops again. It becomes, I think we had this one or this one. I'm not sure which one. At some stage, this has to go back up. This whole correction in here, this bigger correction, if you pull it like this, at some point has to make an up move. Just take out all the smaller ones and put the bigger one like this. So at some point, take this out. At some point, this bigger correction here, it's gonna come down here and then it will have to go back up like this, which would complete 1, 2, 3, drop, complete 1, 2, 3, and then go. This is what you call regular flats, very classical. They're the most common. It doesn't necessarily have to be like that. It could be contracting, it could be expanding, which means it could break this top and then come down. It could break this low and then go up. It doesn't matter which one of those it does because you can see it as it's happening. That's the difference. This one is, you could not trade in here. I would not trade in there. If you're not an experienced trader, you probably wouldn't trade in this piece. Let this do what it has to do and try to get the move to the upside. Make an impulse, make a flag, go for that trade. You want to sell, make an impulse, make a flag, go for the sell. And then the buy is a bigger one. Because if this happens, you're going to have a move to the upside first. So where you are in the bigger picture, pretty much if this becomes a flat, which means if we come back to this low here, go there and come back here and then go, that would be a flat for downside, especially if you break the low. If it stays at the top here, the chances are you could go higher. So yes, you can go up and you can go down, but if any one of those is going to happen, you will have different patterns. And it's in the middle of the pattern. So we don't know which one of those patterns are going to show up. That is why every single day we do a webinar updating the charts to see which one is forming. And during the day, we have 5-6 sessions to make sure we're updating on the lower time frame to see whether we can take a trade in it. Because maybe this is a daily pattern and the range is how much? From here to here, the range is over 200 pips, 195 pips. You can trade within that range, and we traded within that range. So you can actually trade a lot within that range if you know what to do and what to expect. Right? If you can see all the flags, you can trade within that range. So let's go back to the 1 hour and let's see. The trade right now is gone. You're probably making a flag here for a drop, which would be only a very, very small trade, and then you're likely going to go up. So let's see. Bang. It's going down. It kind of pull this here. You make that flat, you drop, you pull back, you drop. This was a flag here, and we had 2 options for the sell and the buy, which means this, if we're broken out of this top, we get a move there and then we'd sell. If you want to sell, you sell under this low, right? It actually make a deeper one, drop here, and now we're in this bigger one here, or much in that bigger correction because we're still in this move up. So at some point, we're going to make a move up and we're going to drop. I think that would just be a bigger flat, because we are pretty low into it. If you look back at this, you're very low into this. Let me just take that out. It's very low into the pattern, right? It came back very deep into this. And when they come back so deep, you're always anticipating that if this is going to make a flat, it's going to come here, go back up there and then drop. But there's one piece more we're looking at, which is this one for a long running flat. And that means this was a good sell. And if you get a small flat here, that would be a good sell. So let me go through back with that, because this is where it's going to be confusing. If this stays here, make a flat like this here, we will sell it. Although we're close to this low, because we're assuming that the running flat is that one there with the impulse at the top. So this could literally drop through the bottom. It might as well drop here and then go back up like this. Make a flat here and then drop. So if this trade, if we take that trade and it's not going as fast as we like it to go, we'll get out of the trade for break even. We'll wait for a reversal. If the reversal happens, wait for a flag, buy into that, and then sell it back. What if we get out of the trade and it still goes? Well, based on our strategy, we will get right back into the trade. We already have a strategy that will allow you to get back in the trade if it does. If it doesn't go slow or it goes slow, you take it out and then it continues to drop. So that's where the strategy comes in. We're not discussing strategy here, we're discussing analysis, which is I'm telling you what I think it could do based on what we have. Let's go. Aussie. That was a sell, take this off. Ignore those lines. Those were news. They didn't happen. That trade didn't happen. That sell didn't actually happen because we're trading news. It didn't go when we wanted it to go. It went later. So that trade would have been much higher. That's a different trade. So ignore those. Some of those lines are tops and bottoms. Some of them are the trade setups. You wouldn't know which one unless you're in the group, right? So what we're looking for is probably more downside here. We could get to the 270. I think the fib is gone. I don't know why. We had the fib on to go to the 270 and we'll probably get to that 270. So go back and watch the webinar when this was going up. If you're watching this for the first time, go back and watch that webinar when it was going up, what we said would happen. It would go break the top and then come down. Where we think it could go, well, we're always fibbing it. So chances are, I think it could get to about a 270 and we had that fib on, which is right very close to where it is going to be. So there's more downside in here. Keep trading. Look for a flag, look for a flat, and then go. We're correcting right now. So you don't have any trade set up for the sell. And the buy is not there as yet. And we don't have any buy or sell. This will take some time, consolidate, and then you'll probably get a trade to the downside. Can this go back up from here? It can go back at any point in time, as long as the low is broken. And we broke the low a long time back. So we broke this low, and that was the criteria for this to go back up, breaking this low, which means we can go back up at any point in time. But normally they will go to the 270 very often. This is an area from where they will very likely go back up. It doesn't mean anything. It's just that there's an 80% chance they get there right before they go. So what we will watch for here is whether we get a flag, sell, sell back to this level. If you get an impulse and a correction, which means a flag at the top here, we're going to be buying. We'll absolutely buy as long as we're under that, because that could be the turning point. Go back to the 4-hour. And if that is the turning point, we'll get an impulse up here. We don't have a very sharp impulse. That's just a very small move. You would need a bigger impulse, and then you'd need a flag for a buy. It's not really, I wouldn't call this a buy setup. It's way too far from that. It's more of a sell setup starting right now. Same with this, that was a sell, ignore it. I'm not sure whether that sell actually triggered at the time or later. If it's later, then the sell would be from here. If it triggered at the time, then it's probably you took a small profit there. Let's go 15 minutes. And yeah, you've made a very nice move up. No, that didn't trigger. That I just didn't take them out of my chart because it went up. The trigger was the sell, and then we would have sold it from here or probably even higher. Some of my traders would do. You're getting a flag here, and that's a sell setup. That would be a sell setup. This one is actually making a sell setup right now, so you can go for the sell. And where would expect this to go in the bigger picture? Yeah, down, more down. By the way, we already broke the lows, so you have to be careful now, right? Once you break the lows, you have to be careful. The low is broken at any point in time. It can go, but at any point, then you're going to come back up. You can see that pattern already forming, right? It will go back up at some point. So let's say we have divergence. We don't have divergence, which means when it goes back up, it's going to also go back down. We'll probably make an extra running flat. We have this one here. Probably going to get this. We'll probably come back here, make a bigger running flat here, drop again, and then go back up. All of this is correction in this one. It's just going to take longer, much time here. So I can tell you that we're assuming when this finish, it's not going to go very deep. It's going to go back up. It's going to come back down, and then it's going to go. So all of this is likely going to happen. So we'll trade some more down. We're likely going to be buying it for a while, and then we're going to be selling it, and then we're going to be buying it again. Now, this might be all the correction, or it might be part of the correction, which means this could be a bigger correction in here. This goes back up like this, not as a straight line like this one, but more like this. Come back down like that and then go, which means come back down like this and then go. It doesn't matter. That's a long time from now. You want to trade here today, and then you want to look for the upside. So I'm going to put a line to show you that we broke the low. That is also for me to know that we already broke the low. And that means if I start to get turning points, I should look for them. Right now, it's a sell. It's a valid sell setup. What's the danger with a sell setup when you broke the low? Is that every drop, every trade to the downside could be the last impulse down before it turns. If you know that, if you have that information, trading becomes easy because you're aware, right? You're trading with knowledge. You're aware that it could come back really fast. So you would have to move your stops to make sure that you don't lose on the trade. That's all. That's what the information is doing, is informing you what to do and how you should behave, because it could also drop very far. It doesn't matter. You don't control the outcome. You control what the process of what you're going to do if it doesn't go. CAD, dollar CAD is going up. This is not a surprise. We've been looking at this trade for a long time, and we know that we're in a big consolidation right now. So two things we're looking for. We broke the weekly low. That's a good thing. Go back and look at this webinar, these webinars when it was here, that we expected to come and break this low. We anticipated that it would be a 1, 2, 3 wave and not a single wave down before it broke the low. Well, now you break the low. It could still be a 3 wave. You could still be doing this here now. We could still be end up doing this here now, right? Which is this goes there, come back here, do this, drop one more, and then go back up. That possibility still exists. So, but because we broke the low, it could also go up like this and not make a big consolidation here. What does it matter which one it does? If you're trading on the 1 hour, I'm on the weekly chart. It doesn't make a difference, except that it informs you of the possibility. And if you start to see that possibility happening, you can stay with trades for a longer period of time. That's all. That's the only thing the information is giving you, as well as you have a sense of direction, where the chart is going to go. So now the way this goes will be very important. It's going up and up, right? We're still in the consolidation. So two things you're looking for when you're still in the consolidation. You want to get out of the consolidation zone. You want to make sure you're actually making an impulse, which means breaking this top and going to that 270 or even faster and higher, or just stop here, go to the 270, come back down and go back up. Pretty much like the big correction we're talking about. What are the chances of this ever coming back to the low here? I think that's rare. It's possible, but it's rare. I wouldn't be looking at this as any kind of expanding or running flat, because we never had any big corrections in here, right? Based on the rules we do it. So I'm looking at this as possible taking off to the 270, which means every buy setup we get, we take. Right now, you can see that it's getting some divergence, which means momentum is dying out and it's not going as fast as you would like it to go. So the chances are you're going to get some downside today. Well, not so big. I shouldn't draw it that big. I should say we should stay within this range. I'm just going to pull this across here to stay within that range. We could get another down move and then continue to go up. So let's go on the 15. And on the 15 minutes, you do have a sell setup, a short-term, very short-term sell setup, because you're at the top of the move. And every time you're there, if you get a very nice one like this, they could either come back here and then go, or they could break through this structure, which means a deeper correction before it goes. So this will be a very, very short move. And if it goes from here, we'll get a buy setup from here going. Pretty easy, right? Well, it's not that easy if you don't know what you're doing, unless you have all the patterns well set and you can see them coming. So right now, we're still focused more on upside, which means I still think it's going to go up more. But we are aware that at any point in time, a very deep correction could start. And if you don't know how to trade them, you will be confused. You will definitely say, well, I don't know what he's saying. I think this should go back up here, make a flat, and that's a sell setup. See, simple. We will sell this. And if it goes to the bottom, we got a good trade. What if it just stops here and starts to go back up? Then you exit the trade and you look for the buy setup, which means you get one more impulse only. Only one impulse, because if they break this top, they will come back. Every time they break the top, they came back. Whether they break it once or twice, they came back. Look back at the whole chart and check and see. Every time the top was broken, they pulled back. And some of the pullbacks were pretty deep. So if you get the buy or you get the sell, you're going to have one single impulse in a move like this. Take that profit, look for the next setup. Yen. Consolidating, big sideways move. You can see the two arrows there we have, one down, one up, and then come back down. Pretty simple, not complex, right? Those arrows were before the moves happened. So it was showing what we were expecting the chart to do. So take them out. And now we got that. So we've got a nice flat in here and we're coming down. We will make a 3-wave to the downside because we're assuming this is the big correction. This is the 1, 2, 3 down. So you get 1, 2, probably get a move down back like this, which should be this one, complete this one. And then we should have a move up, which should be like this. And then we're going to have a drop. Pretty simple. Once you get that flat, you're looking for a sell setup. The bigger sell setup would come from the top here. Can we sell this piece? Maybe. Can you buy that piece? Maybe if you have the skill level and you understand what the setup should be. So we're going sideways. The bigger one would be a drop. You just have to wait for some of these moves to complete themselves. Swiss. Upside. I think we might have completed the correction. We might have completed the correction here. You kind of get one. You get this flat up here. And you got this one down here, right? So you got 1, 2, 3, and we might be looking for this move up to the top now. Make a flat like that, and then come back here. Well, we did break the low, so that's a very good thing. I think we did break the low, so that's a good thing. Look for a buy setup. If you get one, which means I would like to have a small flag somewhere here, and then we'll go for a buy. Once you get the buy and you come back, you don't have to break this top, right? The bigger picture is downside, by the way. Just to remind you. And this pattern is another very interesting pattern. These lines were here from when, I will tell you from when these lines were here, from somewhere in here. That would be back in October. Go back in October and watch these webinars, and go back and watch all my webinars every week. The lines have not been moved. I kept them there because we want to show you how wave analysis works and the power of wave analysis. Because what we were saying is that we think this is the correction. You have 1, 2, this should come back to the low, and then it should go back up to break the top. Well, I put it here, they actually broke the top slightly, and then it should come back down to break this low. And then it would go back up. Well, we are on the way to the downside. So I'm correct by 1 move, I'm correct by 2 move, and I'm half correct already by 3 move. Isn't that perfect? I mean, if nothing else happened, just making forecasts on 3 moves in the future that actually started to work. That's amazing. That by itself alone is amazing. Well, it's not me. It's these patterns exist. I just happen to recognize them. And that by itself is, if everything else go wrong from here, you can say this thing has an edge in it. But it's not going to go wrong. I can tell you right now, this is making a perfect running flat. Let's see if we get it to the top there, and then we'll be looking for the sell. Now, it might come very fast. It might come very slow. I don't know how it's going to go. I hope it's a big drop when we get the sell. Sorry, put it in the 1 hour. I hope it actually makes a big drop because that's a big flat. Hopefully we can get a very big drop to the bottom here. If it starts to go down like this, well, then we're in a big mess, right? If it starts to do this, it's gonna get there, but it's gonna be tough to trade. So let's hope it's not like that. Go back to the 1 hour, wait for it to go up, look for the sell. I don't think we will get a buy setup, but I would like it to come here and then we'll look for the sell setup. See? So go back to the top there, somewhere around here. If it's a running flat, it will not break. I'm not expecting them to break the top. I'm expecting it to come somewhere here. And then we will be looking for a sell setup. If we get the setup, great. If we don't get a setup, we will not take the trade. So let's see. Euros. Upside, we're correcting. This is still a correction on the upside. This is a big correction. It's going up. I'm not sure whether this is going to go break the top. There's a sharp move here that has nothing. So probably a sharp move here and then go back up. We're still within this bigger range here. So if you don't get a perfect buy setup, don't take it. If you don't get a perfect sell setup, don't take it. It's sideways, and that means you're going to, right now, if you get a flag, a sell is a good idea. Which means if you get a flag here, go for 1 trade down, take the sell. Like I said, we're looking for this move now. And then it can go back up. So a sell setup would be a good idea if you get a flag. You're okay? Okay, we expect it to come down and go back up. So it came down, broke the low. Perfect. That's what you want. well, we weren't expecting to break the low because we're looking for running flat. We got an expanding flat. Perfect. Let's get the upside now, right? And the upside it will come back again. So for my traders, we're looking for this move. Look for the buy setup, and then remember you still have this. So at some point it could come back here, make a bigger running flat, and then go. So if we get this buy, we'll have to be aware that it could come back and then go, right? Euro Swiss. We might be getting that turning point now. If this is another flag here, go for the buy. If you get a buy setup, go for it. Now, if it becomes a bigger correction like this, right? If at any point it become a bigger correction like that, we'll get one more drop. But go for the buy. Let's see where that takes us. Do we have a buy setup on it? Not as yet, but if we get a flag, we'll go for the buy. Only if it stays, if only this was a sell setup, short term, you break the low, take profit. So if it stays here, it drops one more, take the trade, but it's only one trade down. If we get a buy setup here, we'll go for it to the top. Euro pound. It did break out. It broke the top. It didn't get to where we wanted, so it could probably still go higher, right? We wanted this to go all the way to the top here. So it could still go higher before we go down. If we stopped here and started drop, let it drop to this level, make a flag, and then we'll go for the sell. So right now, it's still a buy. You can actually, you should have been out of the trade and waiting for a setup to go back up there, right? Wait for a setup to go, because they can go higher. Pull this out, wait for a setup. We don't have a setup. The buy might not be so relevant right now because there's not a lot more to go up. But if it starts to break down, the sell would be a good idea because we're coming to retest the low, right? If the sell happens, we're coming to retest this low again. So if it starts to drop and it drops like you get a flag here, you go for the sell, we're coming back to this level. So the sell would be a better trade to get than the buy. You're in New Zealand? Okay. If you were in the trade and you should have been in the trade, I hope you take it off, right? So we're looking at two possible flats. We're looking at 1, 2, 3. We're looking at 1, 2, 3. We're looking at 1, 2, 3. Come back here and then give us a trade to the upside. So if you get a sell setup, it's short term. We'll go with a short term sell setup, right? I'll put it like this. It's irrelevant like that. Basically, this is the one you're looking at. And this is the move we're looking for downside. Any buy setup we get, we'll take. The sell setup, you'd have to consider it, right? If you get a flag, you'll have to consider one drop, right? Something like that. And then if we get any buy setup, we'll go for this trade. And entry above the top is a good idea. Remember the bigger picture to the upside. So maybe there's a lot of traders who haven't seen that. I'll show them now what we're expecting. And we're expecting, if this is the turning point, we spoke about this quite a lot. If this is the turning point here, we don't know where exactly it was going to turn. So we actually put the arrow with as equal to this. They don't have to be equal. We just chose them to say, if it is equal to, that's where it will go, right? And then we're expecting it to go up. So right now, could this be the turn? This could be the turn. You're getting a very nice running flat there. And if that confirms what we think it's doing, you can see that correction there. That means the upside is very likely going to start. So every buy setup we get, we will go with it. We will be looking for the buy setups and then we'll see. I think it can come down once more. And because of that, we're looking at this here, right? Kind of a 1, 2, 3. This is the flat in the middle. You get that. This becomes the flat in the middle. And then one more down would give you a perfect running flat. That's a buy setup. What if I put an entry here and it comes down here and make a flag? My traders know what to do. If you're watching the video, you would say, well, he's got it wrong. That's what you would say, but we will be selling. The idea is not getting it right. The idea is understand what the pattern is doing and how you can take advantage of that. So if the pattern changes from what we are expecting it to do, because we're making forecasts, we will change that view. Simple. Euro yen. Yep, it didn't go as high as we expected to go because I was expecting this to come back here and then drop. So it didn't go as high, but if you bought it, that's a break-even trade. It stayed there for like 10 hours. You're not going to stay into trade for 10 hours. You put it like this, you got a flat, it's a sell. Can we sell it? Do we have a sell set up here today? Let's see. Or is it changing from making it slightly different? Put back this here. Could we be channeling? That's my question here now. Once I saw that, my first question would be, could we be in a channel right now for me? I really don't like this sell anymore, the way it looks, because we did break the low and it's not going anywhere. Even if you get a flat here, even if you get another flat here like this, you're just going to be dropping to about this level, and then you could literally go back up like this. Be careful. If we take the sell, we'll have to be same thing, get out for break even or so. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to finish all the dollar pairs, all the Forex pairs, and then I'll split the webinar in two. I'll do the second part of the webinar with the cryptos and all the other stocks and everything later, because it's going to be too long. So I'm going to very quick now. I'm going to go Pound Oz still going up. Wait for pullback buy. It seems to be going up pretty strong, so we might be heading for a new high. I think it's very likely we're going to break that top. We're going to break this top, so we might eventually look at this here as a running flat. Right, this one, it broke this low, right? So we might eventually look at it as a running flat if we go a little more there, and then the downside, right? You could see that possibility. That's a possible pattern. I'm not sure whether that is the pattern, but that's a possible pattern that we're looking at. So if you get buy setups, go for it. If you get more buys, go for it. You have to make a flat here before you buy. Pound New Zealand. Let's see where we are. It's going up to, we're in a big sideways move here, actually. We're in this big sideways move. We're going up. We might eventually break that top too. Let's see in the 1 hour, what is it? That's to come down a little more. So I'll wait for this to come back just about this level. Give us a flat. And then we'll look for that. Can we go for a sell in that? Yes, you can if you have the skill level to do that. Because if it's a contracting flat, it will stop short and then go up. All right. It looks good. I like it. We're going to make a flat here. So I'll pull this line here. What for short term? If it breaks the top, and I think we're about to break that up. So if you break that up, it will probably just come here and go back up. Punkad. Works like magic, right? This was what we expected to do, and then this is what we're expecting. You're getting a buy setup here, actually, for that buy. And when it goes there, take your profit because it's going to drop. There's one more up there. So this is how wave analysis works. Let it come here and then go back up. Got to be good to do that, right? Let's go. Pound Swiss. It dropped if you took the trade. Well done. Where would it go to? Let's see. It's not going anywhere very much. We're still in the big daily. Okay, so we broke out of the structure. That by itself doesn't mean anything, right? Remember the rule is if it breaks the structure, it has to consolidate. The confirmation of more downside is consolidation. With this big flat in here, breaking the low doesn't mean it can't go back up. Right? We know that. Breaking out of the structure doesn't mean it can't go back. If we break this, then that's a different story. But if we're breaking here, this could still go back up. Right? That possibility still exists. We're not going to get rid of that as yet. So what we're going to look for here in the 1 hour is every flag we will sell. And I think we're getting a running flat here because this is a big one in this. So every flag we will sell, every buy setup we'll take, assuming that it could go back up, especially if we get a really sharp impulse. If this gives you a really, this was a nice sell by the way, if you took that trade well. If you get a nice impulse here, and you actually make a flag here, that's a good buy. We'll take the buy and we'll assume a very big move up or a deeper correction. So now you either have to have a bigger correction to confirm a 4 hour correction, confirm the downside, or we're totally going to go up. So look for buy setups. I think we should look for buy setups here today. Pound Yen, this is a nice one, by the way. Let's put it for the buy setups. Keep an eye on the buy. Pound Yen, the sell was good if you were selling this. Remember what we're looking for in this pattern, and we're expecting a buy now, but the buy is not confirming. You're going to consolidate here some more. If it's a flag, we look for a buy. If it is a flat, which means if it comes here, come back there, we will go with the sell. I think there's a good chance it could make a deeper correction within the structure, right? Which means at some point this not only make a move to there. Once it does that, we look for a flat. It could come back here and then start a deeper correction. See that? So you get a short-term buy here, you can look for a sell, and then there's a possibility you're going to start a deeper correction. So 2 trades we can get within this week is a buy and a sell. They both are very short term, which means the buy is short term. If it just goes to the top, and then you have to look for sell setups. Aussie Yen. So two things. We spoke about that in trading. It's either a running flat or it's a channel for upside. Channel for upside, you put your entry here, running flat, you let them break, you let them make corrections, and then you sell. Matter of fact, there was a flat here. If we're looking at that flat, you probably sell it. If not, wait for this correction and then we sell. That confirms the downside. What's the big picture in this? Where did we expect it to go? From here, we expected to come test the low. So if you get it, it doesn't have to break the low. Remember that, right? So if this makes a flag here, we have one more sell. If it starts to reverse, makes correction here, we buy back to the top. Right? Remember, all of these are very sharp waves. So it could stay here longer within that range. Let's see which one we get today. Starting to look like a flag at the top here. That's a good buy setup, actually. If you get a flag here, that'd be a good buy setup. If it comes lower, wait for a flat and wait for a bigger one like this, wait for a flat and then one more drop. Aussie CAD. Sell setup, pretty easy. This one is easy. It was a sell setup here. It was a sell setup here, and it's a sell setup here. Aussie Swiss. Okay, this never went up, so we're gonna go with this flat only, and then wait for another flat here. What are those lines? This was a sell. This was the low. Okay, be careful. We broke the low, right? So when you break the low, they can probably go back up. Here's a good example. See this? Impulse down, you broke the low, you can go back up. So if we're looking at this as a correction, breaking the low means they can start to go back up or they can make another correction. Can it drop all the way back to the bottom? Let's see, is there a potential move to the downside like that? It's possible, depending on how you look at the structure, but I don't think they're going to do that. They could come deeper. If we're repeating something like this, see this sharp move up, a small correction here down, a small correction here up, right? If we're repeating something like that, then this is sharp. I wouldn't be surprised if they come here, do something like that, give you a bigger flat there, and then actually drop one more. Right? If we're repeating that pattern, if we're not, then upside is possible. So on the short time frame, every sell we get, we can take. Every buy we get, we can take, because big picture, both sides possible, right? So take the flags, right? This would have been, let's see if we get a good correction here. We go for the sell. If they make a flag, we'll take short-term buys. I think you're going to have a correction for downside. Aussie, New Zealand. It didn't go back up. Stay away from it. It's going to eventually go. We're still in the sideways move, right? So it's eventually going to go. Now might be the time when they go. It's possible. Canadian. Okay, we're going to expect one more drop. Where are we in the bigger picture? They did break the low and they stayed there for like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. That's a break-even trade. Get rid of it. Can it still go? Yeah, we can still drop. I still think that's possible. We're pretty much in a channel like this. Put it like this. You can see it's channeling something like this. You can put this one like that. And you're channeling in here, right? So take this off. If that stays as a channel, we're going back up, right? We're going back up to the top of the channel. Wait for a flag here. Go back to the top and then expect still the drop. If it's a big running flat, we will still get the drop, right? Can they stay in that channel for a while? Yes. Could it be that they're going to go back up from that point? It's possible, right? If this whole structure keeps doing what it's doing, then you can come back all the way to this level and still go back up. This looks very corrected, right? Pretty much like this. If you look at this, they still go back up, right? So this could still go back up 1 hour. Let's see where we are in the 1 hour. It's more of a short-term buy. Go with the short-term trades within the range. So we look for a short-term buy setup here. Back to the top, and then we'll see what happens when we come there for downside. Swiss Yen. Okay, we're looking for a sell setup here. We did come back, so you get a 1, 2, 3 flat pattern. You get 1, 2, 3. You get a flag here and go for a sell, 1 drop only. Let's see where we are. This thing needs, you got to be careful here. I would go with a single drop because once they break the low, once this come here, it's going to go back up. You can literally see that already, right? So there's a sell setup there short term. New Zealand yen. Okay, this dropped already. So we're pulling back. Expect a pullback, a deeper pullback. I expect this to probably go like this. And if this is a running flat, we're going to get one more drop. So we allow it. You can look for a buy setup short term, and then we will move the stop on that one and see if we get a drop. New Zealand Swiss. Look for a sell setup. Let it consolidate and look for a sell setup. It doesn't have anything. It's just going up. So probably just a pullback before we drop. Cat Swiss. Okay, you're still in the sideways move. I think you don't trade it. You just leave it. Still going sideways, basically. New Zealand cat. That was a sell. It's coming back up. We broke the low. It's coming up. You're actually getting a buy setup here now. This was a good drop. Broke the low. Take your profit. You're getting a short-term buy setup now. It's a flag here. They'll probably correct deeper. Big picture, where would it go to? Just a correction. I think it just correct back up. Make a correction, drop again. Kind of going sideways in this move there. We're about to break the low. We haven't broken the low, but very likely if they make a correction here, they'll break the low. If they go back to the top, we'll have a flat. We'll take this out. And this hasn't dropped us yet, but it's looking sideways. And it's probably still going to be here. It will still drop. Still in the correction, probably put it lower. It did make a new high. But it's correction. Okay. So that's one down. This one should drop one more here. We're gonna expect this to drop one more, at least one more drop, and then you'll see. All right, we'll see where that takes us. Okay, guys, I'll stop this webinar here because it's pretty long. And we will do the second one maybe in an hour time. We'll do the second part. So it's early, so we'll manage to finish it. The traders will get it. So if you manage to watch this to the end, which I think is pretty long, and you don't trade all those pairs, watch the ones you like, and I hope you like them. Share it with someone who might be trading and might need the knowledge. Thank you very much. Bye.